since 2014, there's been a sea change in politics in your country, including President Tsai Ing-wen of the Democratic Progressive Party won re-election in January of this year in a landslide. And it was partly, I think, because of her strong response to Beijing's increasing pressures on Taiwan. There are many reports that in that election, there was some disinformation campaign by the Chinese and possibly by other actors. Of course, that's particularly interesting to a US audience because, as you know, in 2016, Russian actors were very active in our own election. Now, we just heard from two experts yesterday, Laura Rosenberger and Renee DiResta, who's at Stanford, that we're seeing that again in our own 2020 election. It's not just the Russians, it's also the Chinese. We're seeing it in lots of different places. In our own system, the Russian disinformation campaigns have been far more sophisticated than what you see from China and other actors, to the point where they're so convincing with false personas and things that the Russian IRA actually got Jack Dorsey to retweet misleading information and Donald Trump Jr. What we see in the US from China is not quite as sophisticated. You know, you're an open source coder, you're a big
still a civic hacker.
Many of us are as well, and we're big believers in it. There's a new controversy now, especially on the West Coast of the US, about artificial intelligence and open source. As you know, so many new things in AI are just put out immediately on open source because the field is developing so quickly. Now people say, well, the Chinese mainland researchers often mine this information, but they don't contribute in kind, so we should stop permitting this. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, there's, I think not entirely everything is open source, like the GPT-3 model, I believe, is not yet open source, the huge transformer thing, right? And so, I mean, there's the source code part, which is essential for academic research, but there's also the data, the model, the actual trained material, and things like that, the processes. And I think in Taiwan, we mandate open API in our procurements.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. I know it's very early for you, and I hope at some point post-COVID we can welcome you in person.